Alright, we're in Corpus Christi. I'm going to continue when we travel looking for hobby shops in local towns. Corpus was a hard one to find a hobby shop because they're all radio control shops. We could not find a hobby shop that sold models, plastic models at all. The only ones we could find were Michael's and Hobby Lobby, the two big chains. But we did find one here. I'm going to go in and talk to them. We went by yesterday and got permission, so they're going to let us come in and do some filming. I'm going to ask some questions.
Hi.
Just like we did in El Paso in photobomb time. Ready again? Photobomb time. All right, so we're going to go in and have a talk. Okay, we're here in the hobby shop, and Cindy's the manager, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about RC helicopters. Simply because it's something I've had a big interest in, and I keep doing it wrong. And she gave me some good advice yesterday on RC helicopters, so I'm going to ask her a few questions. Okay? Now, first question I'm going to ask is, if you want to start getting RC helicopters, what about those helicopters you buy in the mall?
No, those are not true flying helicopters.
That's what I thought. That's why I've never bought one.
Yes.
Because they got the counter-rotating blades, and they got the propeller in the back to tilt them up to make them go forward.
Correct.
That's not how a helicopter works.
No, it's not how a helicopter works. No, it's not.
If you need to answer that.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Even the really big ones in the mall, just...
Yes, no, they're not a true flying helicopter. So you just need those kind of just go up and down, and then they will, barely go sideways, back and forward and everything and stuff. But they're not a true flying helicopter.
Yeah, that's why I avoided them.
Yes.
Okay. What advice would you have for someone who wants to start off in the RC helicopter?
The best way to do is start off with a small dual coaxial helicopter, and just a small one that you fly indoors and stuff.
Kind of like one of these?
Like the Scout CX made by Blade. Yes. Yes.
That way we can show them. Like one of these. Okay. It has counter-rotating blades, so it's going to be very, very stable.
And that teaches you how to fly it, and then how to also use the controls and everything and stuff. So when you go to a bigger one, you already know the concept of how the radio, the transmitter should work and stuff.
Right. Okay. And you suggest we just... So you don't suggest we get a big helicopter to start with?
Not to start with, no. You start helicopters. Actually, I always say helicopters need to be done in 3 steps before you get to the big one. You start off with a small one, and then you do like a medium size, and then you do like one that's a small nano that's really quick and does 3D flying, so you can learn how to do the 3D flying and everything. So when you go to the big one, it will be, you're pretty much there.
Okay. Another question: when you're dealing with a small one, I mean, why a small one? Is it that they're cheaper to repair?
They're cheaper to repair, plus they're easier to fly.
Okay.
Okay. So, and you need, to start off with, you need the easier to fly to learn all your controls and stuff. Because you trying to control a helicopter that's fast or hard to fly, you're not going to learn everything. You're just going to be crashing it and get upset with it. So.
Right. Not only that, I have a big helicopter. I crashed it once, and it was $100 to repair it.
Exactly. Yes.
Whereas one of these, I think, what a replacement blades on one of the small ones are
$4.99, $5.99.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you crash it, you're not wasting a lot of money.
Right.
And they're pretty. I have a small one, a Blade MSR, and it's pretty indestructible.
Yes.
It really is. Okay. Let's see if I can think of another good question, because I'm asking good questions right now. Okay. I know I'm asking good questions.
You are.
What about radios? I mean, some of these helicopters come with radios, some don't. If someone's going to get in the hobby, do you suggest they go out and buy a good radio, like a Spectrum DX6, or should they just stick with the ready-to-flies?
Well, if the ready-to-fly radios are really good for the small ones. Now, when you step up into the big ones, you are going to need to go ahead and step up to your DX6 or up to an 8 even, depending on how big you want to get with one of the helicopters. So if you're going to stay with the small ones, then just stay with what comes in there. If you think you're going to go to a bigger one, go ahead and get one of the better ones, and you can combine to the small ones with that one.
Okay, so in other words, you can buy a good radio, and the small helicopters will work off the good radio.
Yes, they will.
So using the same radio on all your helicopters.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay. That's another really good question, because that's something I didn't know when I first got into this.
Yes.
I went to a hobby shop, and the guy talked me into a T-Rex 450.
Oh, well,
right off the bat.
No, I would like I said, I would never have done that. I would have started you off on smaller and then worked you up to the 450.
Okay. What about the quad rotors?
They're really nice and they're stable, but those are just little Some people love them, and some people don't, because they're a real steady flyer and everything and stuff. And there's not much you can do with those. They just kind of go fly around a little bit and everything, and that's about it. For a helicopter, you can maneuver it a lot more than you can the quad rotors.
Okay. What about a child? Would a quad rotor be good for a child?
Yes, a quad rotor would be good for a child. Okay. Yes, even the Scout CX is very good for a child.
And that's not a quad rotor.
No, but it's very good for a child.
Okay.
Yes.
Which would be easier to fly, this or a quad rotor? The Scout CX?
The Scout CX would be easier to fly.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Believe it, yes.
Because my local hobby shop, I walked in and they had a quad rotor out, and they were flying it around, and I looked at it, and it looked like it was going to be very easy.
It is very easy to fly, but the Scout CX is a little easier to learn how to do than that quad rotor.
Right.
And I gave my nephew, who is 9, a Scout at Christmas time, and I mean, he just picked it right up and started flying it right away.
Gotcha.
Without, any problems at all. And he's still flying until today.
Gotcha. And I'm just asking that question because I know some people would think, well, why don't I just get a quad rotor?
Right.
Well, if you want to get into helicopters, probably shouldn't get a quad rotor.
Not a quad rotor, no. If you're wanting to fly the bigger helicopters, a quad rotor is not going to teach you how to fly a bigger helicopter.
Now, what's harder to fly, a helicopter or an airplane?
A helicopter is harder to fly than an airplane.
That's what I thought. Okay. Because you got more degrees of freedom with a helicopter.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if I can think of any other questions. What do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think I've already added.
Okay. All right. Now, I don't really think I should ask you this question. The other guy that was working here the other day answered it better. Do you have any idea why hobby shops have gone mainly RC instead of selling models like they did years upon years ago?
Because the model industry is depleting. Okay, there's not as many modelists as we used to have. So therefore we have not gotten into it because it's just, for one thing, there are so many different ones. I do not really know what to stock, and if a hobby shop does not stock the right thing that everyone wants, then it's just going to sit on our shelf and not sell.
Right, and you're going to lose money.
Right, and plus, like you said, there are not as many modelists as there used to be at all.
Right.
So
that's a great answer. Yeah. That's exactly what I've been thinking. Okay, I know I came in here yesterday and asked if there were any hobby shops that sold models. Your answer was Michael's, Hobby Lobby.
Yes, that's all that here in this town that does.
Okay. Yes. All right. I think we've got a good interview here. So if you're thinking of getting into RC helicopters, listen to her advice. That's the best advice anyone has given me on RC helicopters. I've been in 6 different hobby shops buying these things for the last 5 or 10 years. And I've wasted a lot of money trying to learn what to do. I'll be honest, I have. I bought 2 helicopters, crashed them, sold them, trashed them. Then I bought the T-Rex 450, which sits in a case and doesn't move. Because the first time I tried to fly that, I crashed it, and I looked at it and went, I'm going to kill someone with that thing. Then I got a Blade MSR and was learning how to fly it, and I could fly it fairly well. But I was afraid of transitioning between the MSR and the T-Rex 450. They're too different. So she gave me some advice on a good transition. We're picking this guy up today. Okay? The good transition helicopter. Thank you.
Good afternoon.